On today's show, sparks fly inside the workshop of an ice fishing artist.
Feels like you have power. Well, this is a
We discover a snowmobile collection worthy of bragging rights.
A little extra.
And a winter dish that might make your mouth water, especially if you're into wild game.
Venison pizza casserole.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hi everybody, Bill and I welcome you to Minnesota Bound.
You know, ice anglers always tinker with lures, trying to attract more fish.
Travis Frank meets a man who makes his own lures to attract not only fish, but also anglers.
Inspiration can be found in unlikely places. Bill Rusinks finds his swimming beneath a spear hole cut inside his ice shack. Bill's creative juices flow while trying to attract northern pike.
I think it's more for the entertainment of the guy sitting above watching it a lot of times than it is for actually attracting the fish in.
He's an angler obsessed with decoys.
Every day I go out, I try to take out whichever ones I just finished, and I'll swim them for a while, make sure they look good.
After they swim, he adds them to his collection back home, a growing treasure of handmade pieces of working art.
It does take time, but it's very rewarding.
In his garage-turned-workshop, Bill gets right back to work. One cut after another, a block of wood becomes a fish.
But from the bandsaw, the sander, a lot of hand sanding. That's probably the one monotonous part of it, is a lot of hand sanding. And it's up to your imagination from there.
Bill makes plenty of lifelike decoys.
I do a little wood burning just to put an outline, makes it carve a little better.
But his reputation revolves around carvings with serious flair.
We're hot. So right now, we got about 6,000 volts at the end of these. Fractal burning is a high voltage, generally in the thousands of volts, that you apply to the wood that has baking soda and water soaked into it. I had never heard of it till just a couple of years ago, and a friend was doing it on the inside trim of his home, and it was, you know, I thought that would be neat on a decoy. So he taught me how to do it, and then built my own machine, and it's just another branch of carving that you can go off on. It just goes where it wants to go, it picks its own path.
Kind of like Bill's path into the world of fish art.
I just enjoy doing it, it's fun. It feels like you have power right there between your hands.
After all, art really has no boundaries.
I think it's the creativity it leaves you, especially with spearing. They could be any color. You know, they don't have to look identical to a real fish. Those are cool, you know. They look nice on your mantle.
Exactly why Rusinks carvings now get flooded with custom orders.
Somebody asks me to make something I've never done before, I'm just like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then that usually turns up ending being a big seller. Other people see it and I want one of those.
Each decoy takes about a week to complete.
Some of it's not a lot of work, it's just waiting for things to dry. You know, a lot of resins, glues, paints. First thing I gotta decide if I want a natural fin color or a bright one. I'll go with the natural. It's a hobby. I mean, I still have several years before I can retire.
And when he does, you'll likely find him here in his cluttered garage workshop, tinkering with wood, fire, and paint, creating art inspired by time spent staring through a spear hole cut in the bottom of his ice shack.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, Ice Castle Fish House and RV, Star Bank, and by Ice Force by Rapala.
No one can quite agree on who invented the first snowmobile. However, Travis Frank, without a doubt, found one of the best vintage snowmobile collections around.
Les Pintz lives by the motto, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Oh yeah, it's fun because you're making things good for other people, and that's what it's all about.
Les is a proud member of the Mille Lacs Drift Skippers Snowmobile Club. He spends most winter days out here, chugging along, grooming trails.
We do about 106 miles of snowmobile trails and 65 miles of ATV trails for everybody to come up and enjoy. I want to see a person that comes along with a snowmobile and see how beautiful the trails are, the smile that's in his helmet or her helmet.
Yeah, those smiles have kept Les chugging down these trails for the past 50 years. But it's what he hides behind closed doors that really fuels his passion.
Well, this is our snowmobile museum.
Gosh, what do you call this place?
I guess history.
This blows my mind.
I guess you could say I'm a collector, but I'm a collector of history. That's why I call myself a caretaker.
A caretaker of a collection he spent a lifetime building.
History to me is very important. I'm into the engines, that I like the motors and how they evolved as they went and adapted to snowmobiles.
He's also into vintage helmets, jackets, posters, trophies, and one-of-a-kind snow machines.
Here we come now. Now, can you see anything? It's only one that ever was built.
Oh my.
In 1966, Les's love for snowmobiles began when his family opened a snowmobile shop in Isle, Minnesota.
First dealership, we had to buy 3 snowmobiles, and it cost us $1,841, and we had to buy $30 worth of parts.
Somehow, Les still owns that first snow machine.
Yep, 67 Scorpion. That was my first.
A snowmobile that opened the door into a world of racing.
And this was my first trophy that I won
This is your first ever
in
trophy.
1967, and I won by 2 seconds around Mille Lacs Lake, 66 miles.
Like the snowmobile parts in his collection, Les's Hall of Fame career holds too many wins to count.
So I've been very lucky. I guess worked hard, but yet it was very much my passion.
A passion that snowballed into a collection.
This is a Scorpion Sierra. This is a prototype.
Pieces of history that Les brings back to life with every turn of the wrench.
To get more people enthused about riding these old ones, and instead of letting them go to scrap.
When his work is done, Les returns to the trail, riding snowmobiles that take him back in time.
How old is this machine?
It was made in about 1970. It was made in Crosby, Minnesota. I like to get into character when we ride the old vintage sleds.
A character that embraces Minnesota winters the only way he knows how.
We don't need to go super fast, just enjoy life.
For a caretaker of snowmobile history, a perfect day ends on the trails Les Pintz loves to keep.
There's nothing more beautiful than riding in the wintertime on snowmobiles.
Still ahead, a not-so-handsome fish gets a lot of love. But first, we get wild in the kitchen. A new twist on an old dish, now adding venison.
Closed captioning provided by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hi everybody, today we're getting wild in the kitchen. In fact, in my kitchen. On the menu, we are making venison pizza casserole, otherwise known as hot dish here in the Midwest, right? Well, the twist with this one is we're gonna be using zucchini instead of noodles today. So we're gonna get started. First step is shredding zucchini. I like to use a food processor for this. Of course, you can hand chop the zucchini, but the food processor is much faster. And we want to keep shredding the zucchini until we have approximately 4 cups. This is a great way to sneak in vegetables for those picky eaters in your house as well. We're going to add about a teaspoon of salt to the zucchini because we want to get rid of some of the moisture in it. So we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes. While our zucchini is resting, we're going to take the time to chop up a red and green pepper for the topping. Next, we need to chop some onion. Veggies are chopped, our zucchini had time to rest for 10 minutes, and now we're going to squeeze the moisture out of the zucchini. So I take a little handful and give it a good squeeze. And place it in another mixing bowl. All right, next step is we're gonna add a couple of eggs to our rinsed zucchini. Next, you want to add about 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And then I like to add a little bit of either Italian seasoning or pizza seasoning I have here. And last, just an extra pinch of salt. And you just stir this together, and this will actually become the dough of our pizza. Next, you just want to take a 9x13 baking dish and place our zucchini mixture into the baking dish. So our zucchini pizza casserole crust is going to go into the oven first for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. While the zucchini's in the oven, it's time to brown our venison. First step is to saute the onion. And one thing you want to do with the onion is just sweat the onion or cook it until it's translucent. You don't want to brown the onion because it'll overcook. And so it looks like our venison is ready to go here. Our venison is nice and brown. We're going to add in our pizza sauce, approximately 15 ounces, which is about 3/4 cup. Look at this crust. Delicious. Venison is browned and our crust is done, so it's time to assemble our pizza casserole. Now it's time for the good part. We're going to add some cheddar cheese and mozzarella cheese to the top. A little extra never hurt anybody, did it? A good pizza needs a lot of cheese. And last step, to sneak in a few more veggies, we're going to top it with some red and green pepper. Back in the oven it goes for another 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes, it's time to peek at our casserole. Oh yes. So here you go, venison pizza casserole. It's perfect if you're following a gluten-free diet, if you're following a low-carb diet, and it's also wildly delicious if you're following no diet at all.
Straight ahead, no pouting allowed as these people celebrate the life and times of the Bourbon.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Cass Lake Chain of Resorts, Hewitt Docks Lifts and Pontoon Legs, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
It's time for a bit of an outdoor love tale, a story of love between anglers and a not so pretty fish. Really the perfect assignment for Ron Shera.
Walker, Minnesota on Leech Lake still claims to be a musky fishing capital. But wait, hold your bobbers. What's this? Welcome eel powders? These folks are all coming to catch EelPout, the fish that gets no respect. Must be some kind of joke. Nope. Happens every third weekend in February.
So this is our 39th year for the EelPout Festival.
A festival in the name of EelPout? Weird? Yeah, it's even listed as one of the weirdest festivals in America. In Walker, celebrating EelPout is a point of pride.
You've ever seen one that's really slimy? It's got a tail that'll wrap around your arm. So that's what they decided to center it around. And they started with roasting a pig on the ice. And, you know, a couple hundred people were here, and that's how they started. And now it's grown into more of a Mardi Gras and ice festival, but still centered around that fish.
And a lot of business smarts.
The festival originally started with a bunch of local bait store owners getting together and trying to come up with an idea to get some tourism here in the winter.
Holy Pout Scouts! What an idea it's been. Thousands of folks descend on Walker for a 3-day party in the name of a fish. A strange fish that seldom is caught in the summer.
An EelPout is part of the cod family of fish. In February, they come up and spawn. And so that's why we have the festival this time of year, because they're coming into 12, 15 feet of water, and you can catch them.
And guess what? Filet of EelPout is white, tasty meat.
This is a fresh EelPout, $10. Thank you.
It's actually really good. As far as table fare goes, it's probably in the top 10 for an ice fisherman to eat an EelPout. Call it the poor man's lobster. So you can broil it with butter and garlic.
Now hold on here, Pout Scouts. This festival isn't really about fishing. Get it? For example, there's EelPout smooching.
And we actually have people that will pay to kiss a fish for charities.
And there's plenty of, well, EelPout atmosphere. And they see who's the biggest. Okay, since when is it a sin to seriously try to catch an EelPout at an EelPout festival? This fella, Todd Felix, is pout serious.
But as you can see, we're away from the crowd, kind of out here in the middle of nowhere. Nice and quiet.
And the EelPout bite.
This one we marked last night so we can remember whose it was, because it's a little bit bigger one. They've got no teeth, no fins that can stick you. They're absolutely harmless. And they've got such a pretty pattern to them. When you see them on the bottom, they blend in so good with the bottom. This one is about 7 pounds. It's a nice fish. It's really not one that's going to probably get you in the top 10. I was sitting here thinking about it the other night. I figured how many years I've been fishing them and how many I've probably caught each year. I know I've caught over 1,000 of these goofy things.
Indeed, the folks in Walker have turned winter blahs into a tourist-attracting wingding over a fish most folks find ugly. But if you don't want to tangle with an EelPout, no worries. There's always something to do when it's a fishy celebration.
They say they taste like lobster, but I don't know if I'm buying that.
Poor man's lobster. Maybe there's a distinction.
Delicious.
Well, that about does it for us. We hope to see you back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
And EelPout.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.